when your man wanna get fucked.
And I don't care who he's dating. I always had a crush on him, though.
What Blu Cantrell never told the world about Jay-Z might flip everything you thought you knew about them forever. Because behind the flashing lights and red carpets, the whispers in hip-hop circles painted a way darker picture, a hidden romance, a silenced pregnancy, and an industry cover-up that runs deep. But what if that silence wasn't her choice at all? What if Blu Cantrell didn't just vanish from the spotlight, but was erased to protect the Carter legacy? And here's where things get downright wild. Some folks have been speculating that Blue Ivy, the so-called first daughter of hip-hop royalty, might not even be Beyoncé's biological child.
Was about to come out with her pregnancy around the same time.
The islands?
Something like that.
Yep, that theory's been floating around for years, and it always points back to one name, Blu Cantrell. Now we're digging straight into one of the most explosive and chilling mysteries in music history. And once you hear the full story, the name Blu will never sound the same again. But let's rewind real quick. Blu wasn't just some random one-hit wonder. Born Tiffany Cobb, she had it all. The voice, the presence, and serious cosigns from powerful music execs. Before her big break, she was out here grinding, singing backup for heavyweights like Diddy himself. Then boom, in 2001, she dropped her debut album, So Blue, and set the whole R&B scene on fire. Her breakout track, Hit 'Em Up Style, Oops, wasn't just a hit, it was a movement. Blu Cantrell's debut album didn't just pop, it exploded. It went gold in just 2 weeks, cracked the Billboard 200, and racked up 2 Grammy nominations. She was everywhere, locking down press, locking in tours, and standing toe-to-toe with R&B powerhouses like Ashanti, Maya, and Monica. But just when she was supposed to skyrocket into superstardom, everything started to shift. And no, it wasn't because of flops or weak records. The music was solid, the buzz was real. The problem? Jay-Z. Word in the industry was that Blu was getting real close to Hov behind the scenes. And we're not talking just a few friendly chats. Multiple insiders claimed their vibe was way more than casual. People allegedly spotted them getting cozy at industry events, flying out together, and even showing up side by side at private parties hosted by the elite. Diddy-level elite. The whispers turned into rumors of a full-on romance. It got so loud, even Wendy Williams jumped in. She asked Blu live on air if she had ever kissed Jay-Z romantically. And Blu, she didn't deny it. She didn't confirm it either. The damage was done.
Have you ever kissed Jay-Z romantically?
No. No, I can't answer that.
Once the headlines caught fire, the mystery around Blu and Jay-Z exploded. And instead of killing the rumors, Blu accidentally made them louder. This all went down right when Beyoncé was stepping out as a solo force, and if the whispers were real, Jay-Z was caught in the middle of 2 women on the rise. One, Blu, fiery, bold, and unfiltered. The other, Beyoncé, strategic, younger, and always polished for the cameras. Then came that Wendy Williams interview. And Blu, she dropped another bomb that had jaws on the floor. She didn't just hint. She flat out implied Jay-Z didn't pick Beyoncé for love or talent, but because she was younger and easier to manipulate.
I think at the end of the day, a younger, less savvy to the ways of the world broad.
Somebody a little bit more naive.
You said it, not me.
Back then, folks brushed it off like petty shade. But now, it sounds like a red flag from someone who got chewed up and spit out. Blu wasn't hiding her anger either. She claimed Beyoncé copied her entire style. And just like that, the industry doors started slamming shut. Bookings dried up. Arista didn't renew her deal. Quietly, her songs faded from radio, and the media stopped saying her name. In a blink, Blu went from R&B's rising flame to total silence. Was it just bad luck, or did someone behind the scenes flip the switch? Well, if you ask Jaguar Wright, another artist who's spoken up about music industry foul play, this wasn't a coincidence. She said loud and clear that Blu didn't vanish by accident. According to Jaguar, Jay-Z and Beyoncé used their power to shut Blu down. And even naming their daughter Blue Ivy wasn't just a tribute, it was Erasure. Blu tried to make a comeback. She announced a 3rd album, claimed she was moving like a free agent, but nothing ever dropped. No singles, no videos, no rollout, just silence.
Jay-Z worked very hard to erase you and me, just like he did Elle, just like he did his relationship with R. Kelly, just like he did his relationship with Aaliyah. Blue, it's time to talk.
Then in 2014, things took a shocking turn. She was found in Santa Monica, barefoot, running through the streets and screaming that someone was trying to poison her with gas. The cops showed up, and she was taken in for a psychological evaluation. Overnight, the media branded her as unstable, and that label stuck hard. Just like that, her name was buried, this time under a cloud of scandal. But here's the real question. Was that a mental break, or was she trying to run from something? Maybe even escape? There are people out there who say Blue was never supposed to make it out. The wildest theory? That Blu Cantrell is the real biological mother of Blue Ivy Carter. Sounds outrageous at first, until you start lining up the timeline. Then it stops sounding crazy and starts looking suspiciously planned. Let's look at the timing. Blue vanished from the industry in 2004, not long after her second album. Her whole career didn't just slow down, it came to a screeching halt. No music, no appearances, nothing, like someone hit the off switch. Then in 2012, Beyoncé suddenly gives birth to Blue Ivy Carter, and fans immediately started asking questions. Why that name? Why Blue? It was too specific to ignore. Some folks chalked it up to Jay-Z's thing for the color blue. He has mentioned it a lot, but others weren't buying it. They felt the name was way too personal. Some fans are convinced the name Blue wasn't just a random choice, it was a quiet shout-out or a hidden dig aimed straight at Blu Cantrell. And that's where this theory gets dark. The belief that Blue was forced into silence. People say she either gave up a child under pressure or was pushed into ending a pregnancy she didn't want to. And the timeline? It's making folks look twice at Beyoncé's so-called pregnancy with Blue Ivy. Let's rewind to 2011, that now viral interview Beyoncé did with the Australian show Sunday Night. She walked in glowing, wearing a tight dress and all smiles. But then, as she sat down, her baby bump folded in a weird way that made the internet explode. Viewers swore it looked like the belly collapsed, sparking wild rumors that she was rocking a prosthetic and using a surrogate in secret. Now add that to Blu Cantrell's sudden vanishing act just a few years earlier. It's giving people chills. If Beyoncé didn't carry the baby, then who did? Could Blue have been the one? Was she used and then erased? Jaguar Wright, who's never held her tongue when it comes to exposing industry secrets, has made heavy claims. She said Jay-Z and Beyoncé didn't just edge Blue out, they completely erased her. According to Jaguar, they rewrote the whole story, crushed their competition, and controlled the narrative before anyone could question it. And that name, Blue Ivy, Jaguar said it wasn't sweet or symbolic. It was a power move, a permanent stamp on a child who, if the rumors are true, wasn't Beyoncé's to name. And the most chilling part, according to what Blue herself reportedly told close friends, Beyoncé panicked when she found out Blue was pregnant, and then allegedly tried to poison her and forced her to end the pregnancy. According to Blue, it wasn't the industry or the failed contracts that broke her. It was that moment of betrayal, that silence, that pain. Fans still talk about her 2014 breakdown, running barefoot through Santa Monica, screaming that someone was trying to poison her. And they don't see crazy. They see a pattern, a setup. Just look at the history. Britney Spears, Martin Lawrence, Kanye West, Jaguar Wright. Every time a celeb starts spilling secrets or going off script, they get slapped with the unstable label. It's like clockwork. Discredit them first, then wipe them from the narrative completely. And when you connect that to the theory about Blue Ivy, suddenly it doesn't sound so far-fetched. Even if you do believe Beyoncé is Blue Ivy's biological mom, the way this whole story's been protected with NDAs, brand control, airtight image management, it makes the possibility of a deeper truth feel way too real. Just stop and think. If Blue did have a baby with Jay-Z, what would that do to Beyoncé's carefully built empire? What would it mean for their billion-dollar brand? That's not just scandal. That's legacy-destroying stuff. Jay-Z wouldn't just be seen as a cheater. He'd be exposed as a man who had a child with another woman and buried it. Beyoncé would be painted as someone who either helped cover it up or helped rewrite the story completely. And Blu Cantrell, she wouldn't be some forgotten R&B name from the early 2000s. She'd become the key to one of the biggest celebrity cover-ups of the 21st century. But here's the eerie part. Blue never said she had a child, never showed photos, never named names. Blu Cantrell didn't just fade away, she vanished. One day, she was chart-topping and Grammy-nominated. The next, gone without a trace. And when you start connecting the dots, it feels less like bad luck and more like someone wanted her erased. Her exit wasn't gradual like most artists who lose momentum. It was sudden, sharp, and suspicious. Flashback to 2003, Blu dropped her second album, Bittersweet. The vocals? Strong. The content? Solid. It even scored her another Grammy nod. But something was off. The label, Arista Records, barely pushed the project. Promotion was weak, press was limited, and her tour got cut short. Meanwhile, Beyoncé was gearing up to take over the world, and the contrast was loud. One woman was getting the full machine behind her, the other frozen out. Then came the silent kill shot. Blu's contract wasn't renewed. No official reason. No goodbye. Just like that, she was dropped. That alone had people whispering, but it didn't stop there. As Beyoncé's solo star started rising, fans began noticing similarities that were way too close for comfort. Blu wasn't quiet about it either. She straight up claimed Beyoncé wasn't just shining, she was copying her. A major example, Blu's Roundup video, it had a whole Western vibe. Desert scenes, high fashion cowboy looks, and cinematic energy. And shortly after, Beyoncé popped up with visuals that felt eerily familiar. Not long after Blu Cantrell dropped her Roundup video filled with bold Western flair, Jay-Z and Beyoncé released '03 Bonnie and Clyde. And the visuals? Almost too similar. The desert, the styling, the rebellious energy, it felt like deja vu. Then came the Sean Paul situation. Blu's track Breathe was a massive hit. That smooth R&B Caribbean blend featuring Sean Paul became one of her biggest records ever. And not long after, Beyoncé released Baby Boy with, you guessed it, Sean Paul again. Same island-inspired sound, same laid-back beat, same sultry vibe. To Blu, this wasn't a coincidence, it was a calculated pattern. And what really stung, Jay-Z had Beyoncé's back the whole way. While Blu's resources were getting slashed, less promo, smaller budgets, no tour push, Beyoncé's machine was firing on all cylinders. Her visuals got sleeker, her sound sharper, her entire rollout flawless. Meanwhile, Blu was getting iced out. Her name was barely mentioned in industry circles, like someone wanted her scrubbed from the scene. But Blu didn't stay quiet. In one of the most daring moves of her career, she started firing back, not just through her music, but in the press. In an interview with The Guardian, she was asked straight up about Beyoncé, and she didn't sugarcoat a thing. Blu didn't bite her tongue. When asked about Beyoncé, she fired back, "I'm an adult, she's younger, and if she's doing what you're saying, then she's being a little immature. If she goes there with me, it's the wrong move." Then she hit even harder. "If you have issues with your man, address it with him. Don't take it out on the girl." To fans watching from the sidelines, it was clear. Blu was done playing it safe. She wasn't just hinting anymore. She was calling out Beyoncé and making it known that Jay-Z wasn't innocent either. But right after that, silence. No third album, no new singles, no appearances. Blu Cantrell didn't just go quiet, she vanished. The moment she spoke her truth, she disappeared. Sound familiar? Jaguar Wright sure thinks so. The former neo-soul singer turned industry whistleblower has called this exact thing out before. She calls it strategic erasure. When an artist becomes a problem, too outspoken, too honest, or just refuses to play along, they get blackballed. And Jaguar believes that's exactly what happened to Blu. This wasn't just about a chart battle or some petty industry beef. This was about control. If Blu did have something real with Jay-Z, if there was even a hint of a pregnancy, then pushing her out wasn't about music. It was about erasing the whole story before it could go public. And Blu wasn't the only one caught in the storm. Look at the pattern. Maya, once all over award shows and tours, suddenly faded into the indie world. Monica, big voice, huge hits, then no more major radio play. Even Aaliyah, who had already started breaking into Hollywood, died in a tragic plane crash in 2001, right as Destiny's Child was about to take over. Some fans and even insiders believe none of this was random. They say it was systemic. By 2004, Jay-Z had climbed his way to the top of the industry food chain, becoming president of Def Jam, a title with serious power. And what a coincidence. That's exactly when Blu Cantrell's contract suddenly vanished into thin air. Later, Blu dropped a bomb. She revealed that the lawyer she was told to trust during her contract negotiation was also working for the label, a total conflict of interest. She got played. Blu said straight up, "If I'd known, I would have gotten my own lawyer." That lawyer was working for them. They took what was mine. She didn't just lose career momentum, she lost control of her masters. The music she created, she didn't own it, and she barely got paid for it. No real royalties, no say in her own catalog. And when she tried to fight back, suddenly she was cut off. No support, no platform, total silence. Then came the breaking point. her 2014 breakdown. By that time, Blu had already been missing from the spotlight for years. No third album, no tours, no press. Her name faded out, and her fans were left in the dark, wondering what really happened. Then out of nowhere, she was back in the headlines, but not for music, not for a comeback. She was found at 2 a.m., barefoot in the streets of Santa Monica, yelling that someone was trying to poison her with gas. Cops detained her and took her in for a psych evaluation. The media didn't waste a second. They dragged Blu through the mud. Headlines called her unstable, unhinged, and washed up. But for some fans, the whole thing felt way too familiar to be brushed off. This wasn't the first time a celeb had spiraled under strange circumstances. Back in 1996, Martin Lawrence was found walking straight into LA traffic, waving his arms and yelling that people were trying to kill him. Fast forward to 2016, Kanye West was forcibly hospitalized right after calling out Beyoncé, Jay-Z, and some elite industry names on stage. And who could forget Britney Spears? Her breakdown came after years of being trapped in legal control, surrounded by people who claimed they were helping her, when in reality, they were pulling the strings. It's like every time a celebrity becomes too honest or simply inconvenient, there's a script waiting. Paint them as crazy. Make the world stop listening. Blu's case, it fit that pattern perfectly, but here's the thing. She didn't stay silent forever. Years later, Blu began speaking up. And when she did, everything about that 2014 breakdown took on a whole new meaning. According to Blu, what the world saw that night in Santa Monica wasn't just a mental health crisis. It was the aftermath of trauma. She wasn't unraveling. She was escaping. She said the industry didn't just forget her, it erased her. And even worse, it betrayed her. Blu claims she was taken advantage of by the exact same people who once promised to protect her. She said the lawyer she was told to trust during her contract talks with Arista was secretly working for both the label and Jay-Z's circle. In her own words, that lawyer ended up representing them. Conflict of interest. They were all working together to basically take what was mine. She says she was set up, misled, discarded. But the most explosive part, Blu believes someone tried to poison her, literally, with gas. And that night in Santa Monica, that wasn't a meltdown, it was a desperate escape. Blu's claims might be nearly impossible to prove, but the scary part, she's not alone. She's not the first woman whose career and life spiraled under the same chilling pattern. Take Tiara Mari. Once hyped as the next big thing under Jay-Z's Rockefeller Records, her rise was fast, but her fall was even faster. According to industry whispers, Beyoncé allegedly caught wind of Tiara getting a little too close to Jay-Z, and suddenly, it was over. One blind item even claimed that Beyoncé didn't just cut her off, she made sure no one else picked her up. Word supposedly went out to top label execs. No record deals for Tiara. And if anyone dared to defy it, they were reportedly visited and warned to back off. Then there's the case of Kathy White, another woman allegedly tied to Jay-Z. The rumors that she was pregnant and planning to go public with everything. But just one day before she was reportedly set to expose the affair, Kathy was found dead. The case closed, fast, no real questions, no real answers. And since then, the whispers haven't died down. In fact, they've only gotten louder. Some point the finger straight at Beyoncé, not just Jay-Z. They believe Kathy wasn't just caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. They believe she was silenced.
The other mistress that has a love child with Jay-Z, allegedly. I didn't work on that story, but the reporters that did reported that, she was paid very well to basically shut up.
When you look at it through this lens, Blu Cantrell's 2014 breakdown doesn't feel like a meltdown. It feels like the final scream of someone who'd been silenced for way too long. No label, no backup, no platform, just headlines branding her unstable, while the industry casually moved on, never once being held accountable for what happened to her. And here's the real kicker. Blu wasn't the only one. As Beyoncé's star rose, other talented R&B women didn't just fade, they vanished. No final albums, no goodbye interviews, no explanations, just silence. Line up the stories and you start seeing a pattern that's too sharp to ignore. Take Maya, for example. In the late 90s and early 2000s, she was everywhere. She had Grammy-winning collabs, big label deals, and even appeared on major tracks with Jay-Z himself. She was clearly in the mix. But right around the same time, Beyoncé broke away from Destiny's Child to kick off her solo career. Maya's name started shrinking from the mainstream. She didn't disappear because of lack of talent. She got pushed out, moved toward indie labels, faced constant issues with distribution. Mia was left to grind on her own, pushed into the indie circuit, forced to rebuild her career from scratch. Years later, she hinted at being blackballed, saying industry politics turned against her when she stopped playing along. And then there's Aaliyah. Before Beyoncé fully stepped into the spotlight, Aaliyah was it. The voice, the look, the future of R&B and pop. She had already made the jump into Hollywood, headlined fashion events, and was working on new music that had fans ready for her next era. But in 2001, tragedy struck. Aaliyah died in a plane crash, right as Destiny's Child was preparing to go full throttle, and Beyoncé was being positioned for her solo takeover. Some fans don't look at that timing as conspiracy, but they do notice what it meant. Aaliyah was the only artist occupying that same space as Beyoncé. After her death, the playing field shifted. Suddenly, there was no one on her level. And that brings us right back to Blu Cantrell. What if her story wasn't just a one-off tragedy, but the first chapter in a much longer, darker story? A warning, a test run, a woman who had the voice, the fan base, the momentum, and then lost it all without reason. The music industry has done this before, and it'll do it again. But now, the truth is starting to leak. From whistleblowers like Jaguar Wright, from interviews Blu tried to give that were buried, from fans who never forgot, from documents that aren't staying hidden anymore. Because if Blu was erased, who's next? If you made it this far, sound off in the comments. What do you think happened to Blu Cantrell? Make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you want more deep dives like this.